What we're going to talk about today is a few biohacking skills, okay? Who's heard the term biohacking? It kind of freaked you out the first time you heard it. You're like, what do you mean biohacking? Are we going to put a chip in my head or something? Or no, we're talking about technique. We're talking about skill. We're talking about the 21st century. We understand so much right now about science, about biology, about the human mind, that there's some things that we can do to assist you, and there's little techniques and things that you can do to take advantage of what we know to give you a little bit of an edge and to help you break through barriers. Who in here is interested in breaking through barriers? Okay? Anybody in here ever felt like you've just been doing everything right? You've been going to all the meetings, trainings, events, conference calls, doing everything your company's asked you to do, reading the right books, doing everything right? But then there's a barrier. They feel like there's almost invisible walls that are kind of holding you back. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like in the biohacking sense, okay, to kind of walk you through some of the techniques that I'm going to outline in my book that you guys can pick up. Again, like I said, it's on Amazon, so you can pick it up there. But the first thing I want to talk to you about is the aggregation of marginal gains. And this is interesting, okay, the aggregation of marginal gains. It starts out in Great Britain. There's a little story that kind of goes behind it and how it was all developed and came about, right? So Great Britain, back in 1996, started a national lottery, okay, to fund the cycling team, which was a national embarrassment at the time. They've been over 100 years. They'd only won one medal in 100 years, okay? In 2003, they appoint David Brailsford, now known as Sir David Brailsford. They appoint David Brailsford as the performance director for the cycling team. Now, again, the team was a national embarrassment, so much so that the best bike manufacturers in Europe would not sell them their bikes for fear that it would damage their brand. Okay, but with funding in place, they were able to acquire the equipment that they needed. Okay, they moved the team to a velodrome in Manchester, and they started, again, the process of making some adjustments. And I'm going to talk to you about what those adjustments are. But in 2004, they won 2 gold medals. In 2003 through 2013, they won 59 medals in multiple disciplines. As a matter of fact, in cycling's biggest race, the Tour de France, Great Britain, Team Sky, won 2013, 2014, 2015, 2017. What was it that made Sir David Brailsford so different than anybody else that had ever led the cycling team before? Simply put, David Brailsford was fascinated with Kaizen and other process improvement techniques. See, it struck him that they should think small, not big, right? That they should adapt the philosophy of continuous improvements through the aggregation of marginal gains. And the aggregation of marginal gains is really the mechanism of identifying tiny marginal gains, little 1% increases in everything we do. See, the way David Brailsford saw it was if we could take everything that we do in cycling and we could just improve it by 1%, just 1% improvements over time, if you put them all together, you'd have a significant improvement, right? Okay? And so what he did was he instructed the coaches that we're going to start looking for these minute marginal improvements. Let me give you some examples. One of the first things they did is they tested their bikes and the athletes in a wind tunnel. And they found little margins of improvement, little 1% increases in aerodynamics. Okay? Then they found out that there was a little bit of dust on these bikes. And in the maintenance trucks, dust had been accumulating. And if you get a little speck of dust on a finely tuned bike, okay, it decreases performance. So they painted the floors of the maintenance trucks white so they could see the dust accumulation and make sure that that wasn't happening. Now, if you're going to stand on top of the podium, win medals, and be at the top, you can't afford to get sick, not even a little bit sick. So they brought in a surgeon and taught all the athletes how to properly wash their hands. Then they realized everybody needs to have a good night's sleep. So they got the best beds and the best pillows, and they brought the beds and the pillows with them when they traveled to make sure that the athletes could sleep in the exact same position every single night. These little 1% improvements that seemed to make no difference in the act of doing them was all the difference in the world. And here's what happened. Write this down. Contagious enthusiasm. What happened was they created contagious enthusiasm amongst the cycling team, and the athletes got involved. It became like a scavenger hunt. Anybody in here done a scavenger hunt before? Man, they were excited. They were all looking for different ways, little improvements. And what happened? It just started moving faster and faster. Everybody got involved. It became a big thing. And again, just the excitement took over and they won all of those medals. They've gone on to do greater things than that. And that is what 1% tiny margins of gain can do for you. So when you see it here in the chart behind me, the aggregation of marginal gains, right? It's the little 1% improvements that you do every single day that seem to make no difference in the act of doing them. And that is how you stay relevant in your business. That's how you stay relevant in your career. That's how you stay relevant in your relationships, in technology, and workplace identity, and all of the things that we've talked about here, is you find those little 1% improvements and you begin to implement them. I would advise you to start treating your job and your career like a business. You need to outperform. You need to be moving faster and smarter. You need to be willing to be that person that's going to find those little improvements. And also, in addition to that, not just looking to those little improvements, but maybe even a new potential for you within your company, or maybe even a new potential for you within your business, or whatever it is that you dream of and desire to do. But we all lose sight of potential, don't we? Because what happens? We get marginalized. When you first take on a position or a company and you go to work for somebody, you're excited about it. You're telling your spouse and your friends and your family, and you can't wait to get there, and you kind of got a vision. And about 6 months later, somebody's just beat you down. And then you lose sight of the potential. You get marginalized. And then now here you are 20 years later, okay, trying to kind of maintain, right? But we need to be thinking beyond maintain. We need to be thinking about what's my potential. Because I have found the potential is the greater motivator. And if the margins are decreasing, shouldn't we get a little bit more motivated about what we can do for our company, for the people around us, to create more meaning in our lives? Those little 1% marginal aggregations are going to make all the difference in the world. And you just have to make a decision and choose that that's who you're going to be moving forward in the 21st century. How many people like what I'm talking about right now? Okay, pretty cool? Okay, good stuff. Now, here's the other thing. That little 1% increase is what I call discipline, okay? The little 1% decrease, the person that says, you know what, it doesn't take all that. You know what, it's just not for me, okay? I'm just going to maintain the status quo, and they choose not to. One is an error in judgment. One's discipline. They both add up, don't they? The one that's error in judgment, probably on their way out. One that's making the little 1% improvements, probably going to be the person that's going to advance, going to go to new levels of potential, going to have an amazing 2020, and that's what you need to make a decision on, and that's what you need to choose. But here's the problem. Most people fail, and why do they fail? They choose preference over necessity, right? I mean, aren't there things that you need to do that are necessary if you're going to be successful? Absolutely. But when you put preferences, doesn't take all that. I don't want to mess with the phones. I don't want to get involved in social media, right? I mean, back in the day, it was kind of nice. And we just made a phone call. People answered the phone. They left a voicemail. People checked their voicemail. They called you back. All of those things transpired, right? But today, what do we have? We have like 16 different modalities of communication tools out there today. I mean, when you look at it and think about it, right? I mean, you've got instant message, you've got text message, you've got email, you've got phone, you've got Zoom, you've got web communications. We have all these modalities. And now, do you have to learn those modalities? Yeah, you do. Why? Because it's necessary. In order for you to be successful moving forward, you've got to put necessary over preference. That's how you become successful. And that's how you achieve. More importantly, because, if you want to that's how you achieve potential. Do you understand? We have to be willing to make the adaptations and develop our adaptation muscle. And this is something you're going to learn to embrace and engage. But again, what it kind of comes down to is what I call the disempowering belief and the empowering belief, right? So we have empowering beliefs and we have disempowering beliefs. I'm going to show you today how to assign empowering beliefs, okay, to some things that we do emotionally so that we can kind of reshape what we do so that you can power forward and not have barriers and all these invisible walls that are holding you back, okay? But what are some of the disempowering beliefs that I hear quite a bit? Social media is confusing. Do you guys hear that? A little bit, right? Okay. I mean, like, for example, like one of the things you might have to learn how to do is you might have to learn how to do video to drive your business forward in the 21st century. Okay. I have to do it. That's why we got a videographer here today. Right? So we're learning how to do those things as we go. But I can't stop and say, it's just confusing. I'm not going to do it because I prefer not to. I've got to embrace change. I've got to embrace my limitations. Okay? Or, hey, things are changing too fast, right? How many people hear that a lot? Man, it's just happening so fast, right? Or I just can't keep up. Okay? Here's the deal. If you say those things to yourself over and over and over again, guess what? You're right. You can't. I love it, man. The president of our company used to always say, one believes he can, one believes he can't. Guess what? They're both right, right? So we have to change disempowering beliefs. And how do we do that? Well, here's the thing. There's this process of, again, designing empowered beliefs. First off, you guys can, snap pictures or just write this down, but your thoughts become beliefs, right? Beliefs become core values. Core values over time, rehearsed over and over again, become core principles. And then core principles drive what? Your thoughts. And then you're, again, developing a cycle. Now, we want to be able to break that cycle and break that chain and develop, okay, stronger beliefs, stronger core values, new core values, and reinforce. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how to do that today. Just a small technique that will help you develop empowering, okay, beliefs and empowering values as opposed to disempowering, okay? And this is what we call belief alignment, okay? And belief alignment kind of looks like this. If you just kind of draw the old Benjamin Franklin, if you will, right? So a line down the middle of the paper, and you put like a line across the top there, okay? And on the left-hand side, you've got disempowering beliefs, okay? And on the right-hand side, you're going to list out empowering beliefs. These will be new beliefs that you need to adopt, okay, in order to develop the right core values. They're going to drive your thinking and behavior so you can make changes, okay? So you can eliminate some of those limitations that are holding you back and causing you to resist the changes happening in the market today. Now, in this example, we use just as our goal is that I want to stay relevant and current in my career, okay? Pretty simple goal, pretty easy, right? And we can write that down. And we list out a few disempowering beliefs that may be holding you back. Let me give you some examples, okay? And that's not a little fuzzy, isn't it? Yeah, I can't see it. Okay, great. So, yeah, okay. So I'm not good with technology. That's one. Write that down. Okay? I'm not good with technology. I can read it, right? I got it right here. Okay? I can't keep up. That's another one. Can't keep up. I just can't keep up, right? Heck, you could even put, I'm too old. I mean, that's a troublesome one, but that's for some people. I'm too old. I can't keep up. I can't do it. Okay? I don't want to burden other people. How many people feel like you burden other people when you ask them to help them teach you something that you don't know how to do? Some of us don't want to be a burden. Some of us don't want to interrupt others. All of those types of things, okay? I don't like learning new things. Anybody ever feel that way? You're just frustrated. You're like, why can't everything just stay the same and I can just kind of continue doing what I'm doing? I don't want to learn something new. I don't want to learn that new technology, that new system they just brought into the company. I don't want to bother with any of that. My company makes more changes than any other company. It's unbelievable, man. I mean, they're always, every 90 days. We have jokes about it, you know? So, or how about this, man? What if I can't do it? What if it doesn't work, right? People are just, again, sometimes in gridlock because they feel that they're going to fail. Does it make sense? And so we need to change those beliefs, right? Those beliefs are not in alignment. And this is why it's called an alignment chart. They're not in alignment with what it is that you're endeavoring to do, what your goals are, like what it is I want to accomplish. If I continue to let those beliefs, their cycle through my head and become my core values and core principles, I'm never going to achieve my goal, which is staying relevant and current in my career. Does that make sense? So we know that it's necessary in order to move forward to change our belief structure, okay? So here's some alternatives to that. Empowering beliefs. You can write a few of these down. I'll try to make them simple for you. So the definition of easy is something you can do, right? So that's a belief. The definition of easy is what? Something you can do, okay? That means that when you say I'm not good with technology, that's just something that you're believing. But the definition of easy is what? Something you can do. So technology is what? Something you can do, when essence means that it's probably easy, right? It's like when somebody comes to me and they say, I'm not good with numbers. So what do you mean you're not good with numbers? I'm not good with numbers. Well, what comes first? 1, okay. Well, what comes after 1? 2. What comes after 2? Okay, you're good with numbers. Stop it. Okay? So look, it's easy. It's the definition of easy. You got to change your perspective, okay? So that's 1. This is good. Small daily disciplines will compound. They will add up. My little 1% improvements are going to change everything. And they will, I promise you. So small daily disciplines will compound. They will add up. Here's another one. I'm good at anything I set my mind to. And write that down. And post it up everywhere. Because in 2020, you're good at anything you set your mind to. Aren't you? Everybody's good at anything that you set your mind to. It's unbelievable what you can do. Because you're unbelievable. And you're going to be able to do it. And you're going to adapt that philosophy. Okay? Failure leads to success. That's pretty much a big one. Okay? We all know that failure is a part of success, right? So the idea that what if I can't? No. I'm going to fail, and I'm going to fail my way to success. That's what I'm going to do. Or then there's this one. The price of regret is greater than the price of failure. And I don't want to live in the price of regret, because you're going to regret not going after it in 2020. You're going to regret it, right? This is maximum impact, isn't it? Okay? So you write those things down and you start to work on and formulate those beliefs. And I'm going to show you how to, again, kind of move some of those beliefs and enforce those beliefs and make some changes and rip down some of those invisible walls that are barriers. But what is the definition of easy, guys? Something you can do. You guys can all do this stuff, right? So this is pretty simple. So we're just kind of getting you in position in your thinking moving forward into the 21st century, into the year